Hi there, this is Mike, and I wanted to show you some PowerPoint skills you will need to master in order for you to pass your Microsoft Office Specialist exam in PowerPoint. If you pass, you get this awesome certificate from Microsoft. So if you watch this video the whole way through, you will be one step closer to having your name on this certificate. Project 1 will be all about coffee because, well, who doesn't love coffee?
What are you drinking, Avery?
Don't. Oh my god.
Sorry.
So task 1 is asking us to go to slide 2 and set the video start time to begin at 2 seconds into the video. So the way you would do that is first we're going to go to slide 2, and then we're going to click on this video with my son Avery, and this is going to make 2 tabs pop up. So you have to click on the video first and then go click on the playback tab, and then we're going to go to trim video. So we'll click on that. And now this can be a little bit tricky because you can't just enter the time in here. So I sort of have to scroll up by clicking this, or you can drag the green button if you want to go a little bit more quickly. Drag it to the right as close as you can get it to the 2 second mark. Here's 2 seconds and like 0.16 milliseconds. So we'll just scroll down as much as we can, and then I'm just going to erase the milliseconds and just put a 0 there. And now it's right at 2 seconds, and that's exactly what we want from task 1. So we just press OK to finalize it, and that's it for task 1. So task 2 is going to ask us to apply the 2 content layout to slide 6. So we have to scroll down to slide 6 and change the layout. So in the Home tab, in the Slides group here, you've got the layout options. So we're just going to change the layout by clicking the layout drop arrow and choosing 2 content. So task 3 is going to ask us to go to slide 7 and then align the lightning bolt and smiley face so they are centered horizontally on the slide. So this might seem pretty straightforward, it's just an alignment thing, but there's 2 challenging parts to this. So I'll show you what they are. We're going to go to slide 7 and then highlight the 2 icons by clicking on them, or the shapes. So we click on both by clicking one and then holding down the control key on our mouse and then clicking the other. So now they're both highlighted, and we can click on the shape format tab, and in the arrange group there's the align drop arrow. So there's 2 things to this. It says align with centered horizontally, so that just means center, not middle. Middle would be vertically, center would be horizontally. And there's also another option to align the selected objects together or align to the slide, and the instructions say on the slide. So just be careful that you're paying attention to little things like that. So we're going to change that to align slide and then align center, and that's what that would look like. And this sort of looks like my Harry Potter project that will be coming up in the next. So task 4 is going to ask us to remove the date placeholder from the handout header. And there's 2 ways that I would interpret this. One of them's wrong, one of them's correct. So I'll show you how that could be interpreted and which is the right way to do this. So in the View tab, you'll have to go to the View tab to get to the Notes Master. So that's what we want to do. We want to go to the Notes Master and take away the date placeholder. So we'll click on the Notes Master. That pulls this up. Now, I thought this could be interpreted as someone deleting the date and then closing the Notes Master view, but they actually want us to get rid of the whole placeholder that contains the date, not just the date. So we're going to highlight the shape around the date and then press delete on our keyboard, and now the whole placeholder is gone. So we're not just deleting the date, we're deleting the date placeholder. And then you can close Master View, and that'll bring us back to our normal view in our presentation. So task 5 is going to ask us to go to slide 16 and then change the character spacing of the bottom line that loves it with the closed quotation mark of text to very loose, expanded by 6 points, and apply a text shadow. So there's actually like 3 different things on that one. So let's get started. We'll go down to slide 16, and in that last line of this quote, including the quotation marks, we're going to first add a very loose spacing style. So that's in your font group, and that's right here under the character spacing options. So we're going to click that drop arrow and say very loose. And then we also have to, I'm going to click this button to open up our font dialog box, and that's going to give us some more options. And in the character spacing tab, we have to say expanded by 6 points. So if it was normal, you change it to expanded and change it to 6 points, which it is. And then we're going to press OK. So we've done 2 out of the 3 things. And now we have to apply one of my favorite text effects, which is apply a text shadow. So it's just click here, there's a text shadow, and step 5 is complete. Project 2 is called Crickets because the presentation was from a presentation I created for a coffee conversation event at my school. I was so excited and came up with all of these audience-centered interactive activities to demonstrate research I had conducted in my master's program. The event was sent out to just over 100 of my colleagues and 3 people showed up. Task 1 is going to ask us to go to the end of the presentation and add the Flip Classroom Data PowerPoint in our document folder and add all the slides in order at the end of the current presentation. So we'll scroll down to the end of our presentation. I'm going to put a red line here, and then we're going to click the new slide drop arrow. And right at the bottom here, there's 2 tasks that you'll probably be asked on your exam: how to add slides from an outline or to reuse slides, which means how to get slides from a presentation. Slides from outline is usually if you're trying to get information from a Word document. This one, reuse slides, is from a PowerPoint presentation. So that's what we're looking for, the PPTX, which is a PowerPoint file. And then once that comes up, this reuse slides window opens, and you just click browse and then go into your document folder and find the exact presentation that you're looking for. So I saved it in our new PowerPoint MOS exam, and Flip Class Data is the one we're looking for. Now you have these options to select certain ones, and if you, just to keep in mind, if you're ever working with something like this and it had like way different colors and you wanted to keep those very different colors, you could say keep source formatting, or if you wanted to format it like the current presentation, you could keep that unchecked. But it doesn't tell us to change anything, so we're not going to. It just tells us to add these slides in order. So we're going to click on the first slide to add it, then the second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We can now exit that reuse slide window, and then you see the new slides at the end of our presentation. Task 2 is going to ask us to add the current transition between slides 1 and 2. And this can be a little tricky because you're like, do I put the transition on slide 1 or 2? The transition between slides 1 and 2 actually happens on slide 2. So we're going to make that transition a curtain one. So we're going to change this to curtains, and it shows up here in the transitions gallery. So in your transitions tab, you'll have a bunch of transitions that you can apply. And it's actually on slide 2 because it's slides between 1 and 2. So the transition kind of happens before the slide, which means we have to put it on slide 2. And now it looks like this, going from slide 1 to 2. And that's it for task 2. Task 3 is going to ask us to remove document properties and personal information. So this is sort of a backstage option. We have to go to the File tab. So I'm going to click on it. And then on the Info tab, I'm going to click that. And then we're going to look for Check for Issues. And then Inspect Document. So File, Info tab, Check for Issues, and Inspect Document. And we're going to click on that and say yes, if your computer prompts you to say yes or no. And then we're going to click Inspect. And then there's a few things we could remove, but this is the one we're looking for: document properties and personal information. And once we click Remove All, we've completed that step, and then we just close this Document Inspector window. Task 4 is going to ask us to apply the Wisp theme to the Slide Master. So that's a little bit different than just changing the design. We have to go to the Slide Master view. So we're going to go to the View tab and click View, and then this in the Master Views group, we're going to click Slide Master. And then be careful with this one. This is the title Slide Master, but it's not the actual Slide Master for all of your slides. So the trick here would be if you went to change the theme of the title slide, it would only apply to like one slide. But if you wanted to apply the theme to the whole presentation, you'd have to click here. Okay, so you'd have to click, this one controls them all. This is the real Slide Master. For whatever reason, when you click in Slide Master, it doesn't actually go to the real Slide Master, the one that controls all of your slides. So make sure that when you click Slide Master that you scroll up to the top and click on the true Slide Master that controls every single slide. Okay, so now that we've got that highlighted, we can go to the Themes drop arrow and look for the Wisp theme. And I believe it's this one. Yep, it says Wisp, so we're going to click on that, and then it changes the whole theme of the presentation. And then we're just going to exit this master view, which is probably the most challenging part of this question, getting back to our normal view. So close master view. Task 5 is going to ask us to go to slide 5 and then group the 5 circles with numbers in them. So we're just grouping shapes here, that's all we're doing. So we have to click on the first one, and then I'm going to hold down Control on my keyboard and then click the other ones to highlight them all at the same time. And then in the Shape Format tab, there's an option in the Arrange group to group the objects. So I'm going to group them, and now if I was to move one, they would all move together. Task 6 is going to ask us to go to slide 4, change the colors of the SmartArt graphic to a colorful range, accent 5 to 6. So we have to go to slide 4, and here's that SmartArt diagram. Make sure that we click the outside of this box so we highlight the whole thing and not just certain parts of the SmartArt diagram. And then when we click on the SmartArt Design tab, there's an option to change colors, so we're going to click that. And then we look for the colorful group, so the colorful range, which is in here. And then we have to look for accents 5 to 6, which is right here. So we'll click on that, and then we've completed task 6. So task 7 is going to ask us to go to slide 5, animate the text so that the word on the very left, the one that says captions, flies in from the right when the slide is shown. And each word after flies in from the right 1 second after the previous text. So there's a lot there. The first one, there's a few options. So we're going to click on the text captions, and then it wants us to add the fly-in animations. So within the animations tab, there's a animations gallery, and you can open up for more options. But the one we want is right here, and you can see it flies in from the bottom initially. So we have to go to the effect options and choose from the right. And on click isn't good enough because we want it to come with the transition of the slide. So as soon as the slide transitions, it's then going to fly in from the right without us having to click anything. So with this animation highlighted, instead of saying on click, we say with previous. So it's going to come with the transition of the slide. Now for the next one, it says, and then each word after flies in from the right 1 second after the previous text. So it didn't say that first one has to have a duration, but the second and third ones do. So we'll add the same effect, fly in, and then we have to say effect options from the right. So it's going to fly in from the right just like the first one, except this one's going to come after the previous one, not with it. And we're going to change the duration to 1 second. So it's going to come 1 second. It actually means the next one's going to come 1 second after that. And we do the exact same thing with this third animation. So we add the fly-in animation. It initially comes from the bottom, that's the default. And then we want to change that to from right. And then we're going to say after previous. And then we're going to change the duration to 1 second. And then I think what we should do is go to the previous slide and actually see if it works. So I'm going to click the previous slide. I'm going to click from current slide and just see if this works. I'm going to skip across, and then the next thing we do, this slide comes up, animation comes with it, the next one comes 1 second after, the other one comes 1 second after, and that's how we've completed step 7. This third project is dedicated to Holland Bloorview's campaign Dear Everybody. If you want to learn more about this great campaign, I'll put a link to their website in the description box of this video. So task 1 is going to ask us to go to slide 3 and then add a table with 4 columns and 5 rows anywhere under the title. So there's a few ways you could do this, but I think the easiest way is to go to the Insert tab and then click on the Tables drop arrow, and then you can just kind of draw the table out inside this little square matrix here. So 4 columns across. So we go 4 to the right, 4 squares to the right, and then we go 5 columns down. So it's a 4 times 5 table, and then just click, and there's our table. We just have to move it below the title, and that's it for task 1. Task 2 is going to ask us to go to slide 4 and then change the chart to style 11 and change the colors to monochromatic 5, the 5th color in the monochromatic section. That last part can be a little bit challenging, and so can the first part actually. So if I go to, and I'm going to show you what that looks like. So I'll click on the outside of the chart to make sure I've selected the whole chart, and then I'm going to click on the chart design tab. That'll open this up. Just be careful with the wording. Layout and style sound very similar. So if it's asking you for the layout 11, that's this one. but this is asking us for style 11. So chart styles are here, the layout is over here. So just be careful with those two different words. They're two different things. We want style 11, not layout 11. Okay, so style 11. And then we also want to change the color to monochromatic 5. Now be careful with this one. So when I think of 5, I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In this one, that's not what it's asking for. It's asking for the monochromatic palette 5. Okay, so just be careful with that one. It could happen. So it's asking for palette 5 in the monochromatic section. The third task is going to ask us to configure the printing options to print 4 copies of this presentation with 3 slides per page, and all copies of the first page should print before the second page. So there's really 3 printing options there that we have to change. So we do that in the File tab. We're going to click on that, and then obviously go to the Print tab to make these printing changes. So it wants, first of all, 4 copies, so we're going to change that to the number 4, and then for full page slides, under that drop arrow, we're going to say we want 3 slides per page. Okay, so the first page is going to look like this with 3 slides on it. And then there's this last part that's a little bit challenging if you're not familiar with some of the printing options. It says all copies of the first page should print before the second page. So what that means is if it was collated, it would go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3. But if we did uncollated, it would print all the copies of the first page first, and then all the copies of the second page. So if you wanted like different handouts based on the first page and the second page, you might go with that option. So we have to change this to uncollated, and that is it for task 3. So our last task, task 4, is going to ask us to apply a default gradient fill to slide 2. So we're going to click back to get back to our normal view in our presentation, and then we're going to go to slide 2. And we're going to click on the Design tab, and then we're going to go over to this Customize group and click Format Background, and that's going to pull up the Format Background pane right here. And then we're just going to click, instead of the solid fill, click Gradient Fill, and then just leave it as it is. So it's just the default gradient that we add. There's so many options in the gradient fill, under the gradient fill, but we're just supposed to leave it like that, and then we can close this Format Background pane here. So this 4th project is all about Harry Potter merchandise, and as you can see in this picture, I love Harry Potter merchandise. Ironically, I didn't love the book that I'm holding in this picture, but all of the other 7 were great. So task 1 is going to ask us to go to slide 3 and then add a default Pareto histogram. Now this type of chart is so hidden you might think it's wearing an invisibility cloak, but it is in our chart options. So we're going to go to slide 3. And then there's a few ways you can insert a chart, but let's click the Insert Chart icon in this placeholder. And then we're going to go down to the histogram. So it's a type of histogram. So this is a normal histogram, and this is a Pareto histogram. So we're going to choose the Pareto one and just press OK. And this is what our Pareto histogram would look like. So task 2 is going to ask us to go to our second slide and then add a table from the HP Merge Excel file in your document folder. So you might be thinking that, well, it's a table, so I'll just add it from here, but this just adds a new table. So the way you insert a table from Excel would be to go to the Insert tab and then click the object icon, and then we have to say Create from File because it already exists, and then browse for that file. So then we go browse, we'll go into your documents folder, and we'll try to look for an Excel file with the name HP Merge, and we found it. So we'll double click, and you can include it as a link or not. It didn't tell us to include it as a link. A link just means that if we edit it in PowerPoint, it's going to be edited from the original. So we don't have to do that, but we'll press OK. And here's our Excel file right here. So we've completed step 2. So task 3 is going to ask us to go to slide 4, apply the subtle effect black dark 1 style to the text box. And this text box is going to contain slang that my students taught me, so thanks very much, guys. We're going to change this style of the text box. So we're going to highlight the text box, and then we're going to click on, with that text box highlighted, this shape format tab is going to pop up, and then we have to click on the shape styles gallery to open some more options. And the one we're looking for is in the subtle group, and it's the color is black, so it's on, it's in the black column, and then it's the subtle effect row, and then we've applied that style to our text box. Task 4 is going to ask us to add slides based on the outline from the item's Word document to the end of the presentation. So along with adding slides from another presentation, you can also add slides from a Word document. And to do that, we're going to go to the Home tab. I'm at the end of my presentation, so we're going to click the New Slide. So again, slide from outline is a Word document. Reuse slides is from a PowerPoint. So we're going to say slides from outline. And then we're going to look for the Word document item. So this is a rich text format. We don't want that one. We want the actual Word document. So I'm going to double click on it. And then we can see the 2 more slides that were added to the end of this presentation from the Word document.